Today on Disco, we're talking to Nicole Ayres, badass founder and CEO of Jumpsuit Agency, who I know we've talked about before. She is proving that the entrepreneurial path can also be a spiritual path of self-discovery, which is actually where the real magic happens. Nicole's story isn't your standard hustle harder nonsense, although make no mistake, she has hustled. She's built coffee shops, launched a tech company, has survived conversion therapy, has found love, is running her business like a wild, living, breathing organism instead of a corporate zombie. People, take notes. In part one of our very first two-part episode, we're getting into Nicole's story, from ministry to multipreneurship to psilocybin epiphanies and allowing emergence to lead. We talk about what it means for Jumpsuit to be a multi-dimensional business entity, how being neurodivergent is actually a superpower, and stick around for the most ridiculous version of fuck, marry, kill you've ever heard. But that's not all. In part two, we'll get into some state of the state on spirituality today. You're not going to want to skip out on either one of these, so enjoy and let's go disco.
Disco, the podcast.
Disco, the podcast.
Nicole, hi.
Hello.
I want to do a dance that you are here. We've talked about having you here for so long, but this timing is right now. I think we talked about having you on. I think it was maybe going to be one of the first few episodes, but we have our shit together a little bit more now. Not totally.
We're done fucking around.
But a little bit more. So we are very excited to have this conversation with you.
Same. And we have telepathy camp between us. I've been to your house. There's so much more chemistry now for the people.
Exactly. Yep. And so there are a lot of things. So for listeners, everybody, we're talking to Nicole Ayres. And did you know that there's actually also an astronaut named Nicole Ayres? Were you aware?
I'm aware. And there's also a murdered softball player, and she has better SEO than I do.
Well, that's what happens when you get murdered, I bet. SEO just skyrockets.
Well, you're accomplishing more than both of them. I'm sorry, that was horrible. But you are founder and CEO of Jumpsuit Agency, which we'll talk more about, but it's a full service agency essentially made up of independent contractors, correct?
Yep.
You've also successfully launched and exited, sold a tech company. You were the first sponsor of the telepathy tapes, which we've talked about in a previous episode and we'll talk more about. You are creating and co-creating, but started the creation of the Jumpsuit community, which is a self-organizing community for exploring the unknown, consciousness, all of the things. And we have been fortunate enough to be in this orbit of Nicole because we listened to the telepathy tapes and heard the jumpsuit ad, which was very effective, by the way, and joined the community. And since then, we have been involved in the Discord, the chat. We've met amazing people through this community. We also were a part of telepathy camp. We were on that retreat, which was amazing. You successfully launched and completed this telepathy camp retreat.
Clearly your biggest accomplishment.
Yes.
Huge accomplishment. Okay, what have I missed anything? There's a lot there, and and it's still ongoing.
Oh yeah. I guess, I started a couple coffee shops in my 20s. I've been all over.
So with all of this, though, there's the interweaving of your personal story, your spiritual journey. There's a lot more there to unpack. I guess to start with, where the hell did you come from?
And you can answer that any way you want.
It doesn't have to be geographically. Where did you come from?
Where did I come from?
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate the space in that question. Let's see. I came from the Midwest. Okay. So I will give you a location.
Represent.
Born in Indiana, spent most of my life in Cincinnati. I live in Nashville now. But yeah, I don't know. There's like, there is some sort of like feeling of, do I belong to this world? And if not, where did I come from? Like that's like a whole exploration we could talk about, but maybe not. I need to warm up to that.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah.
So then as far as, so you were born in Indiana, you moved to Nashville, founded coffee shops, you became this multipreneur. Is that the word? Multipreneur?
Yeah.
Where did this all begin when it comes to your spiritual evolution? Because today you're talking about things that not a lot of people are talking about in the world of entrepreneurship or just business in general or culture as a whole. Coming from Indiana to and the coffee shop.
Yeah, like what comes out of Indiana?
I mean, no, but like, you know, it's how did we get here?
Yeah, I've always been pretty independent. I was an independent kid. The moment I, got my car keys, I was gone.
Yeah.
I was always working. I just, I'm an Enneagram 8, just that, I'm going to take care of myself kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And I think that was an easy, natural on-ramp into entrepreneurship. And I think entrepreneurship is a spiritual path. And I don't know that it has to be for everyone, but it certainly has been for me and a lot of founders that I've come across over the years. Started a coffee shop when I was a junior in college, just because there wasn't an independent one. There was just a Starbucks, and I didn't even drink coffee. Still don't really.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like I love the smell of it. I was really good at making it. I could sell it, but I just, didn't like it in my mouth. But it was cool. I was like, even so my point is, even from early on, I was, and I'm 42 now. So when we were launching this over 20 years ago, there were not like business plans online. Like I sat in Starbucks. I'm like, how many people come in on a Tuesday? And like, I'm just guessing at everything, but I was audacious then. And I thought it would be fun. And I think that was kind of the first moment for me. I was like, oh, wow, I can kind of like do anything,
I was just going to say, like, what gave you the audacity? I've had lots of business ideas throughout my life, and
we got a drawer full of napkins with all the plans on them.
Admittedly, but here we are, mom and dad, look at us.
You're doing
it. So, I mean, how, like, you just were like, I can do this. It's fine. I got it.
Yeah. And I wasn't alone. I had a friend who was a business partner.
That helps.
Yeah, but from early on, I was like, I was hiring my friends and other college students and managing them and just always playing that sort of role. And that's carried on to me now with Jumpsuit. I get to still work with whoever I want. And that's always been fun for me.
Yeah.
But I think the entrepreneurship path has been one of like the greatest joys of my life, and it's really freaking hard. Like, don't get me wrong, just because I've done a lot doesn't mean I haven't like ruined my body in the process, which we'll get to because that's a part of my spiritual awakening.
Sure.
But there was always kind of this knowing that I would be able to have more impact, make more money, be my fuller, more authentic self if I worked for myself. And that narrative like became obvious in the few times that I was an employee.
I once had a performance review. I was a senior strategist at the time at the company. And I think I was the last one added to the pile of layoffs, like in a couple of weeks, based upon how this performance review went. I wasn't bad. I wasn't doing a bad job, but like, I was kind of going through an existential crisis. A friend of Michelle and I's had died recently. And I don't know, I just was sick of working for other people, just like you. Like I never really wanted to, couldn't be my most authentic self. And she was like, had this org chart of all the positions that a strategist will go through as they grow. And I'm like, can I just stay right here? I like the work-life balance in this box. When I drew a pie chart, I was like, my life is like, there's all this stuff going on and work is like this little sliver. She's like, I don't know. You don't want to grow? Like, I don't know how to manage somebody that doesn't want to grow. And then 2 weeks later, we had layoffs, and sure enough, I was one of them. But like, that obviously is great. It sent my life in a direction that like it wouldn't be now if that didn't happen. So something was coming through me that day to have the balls to be like, oh, I don't want to be here, essentially,
Yeah.
without saying it. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't like to hear that. They kind of want to own us.
Right. So from coffee shop, what comes after that?
So I did a couple of coffee shops, and then I ended up, well, I'll say when I turned 18, I became a Christian. So that's part of the story.
Can you
especially-
talk about that a little bit? Like what
No, we don't talk about that.
Was it just like, ooh, wake up and you're like, this seems fun? Or
I just figured, I knew that you had that in your background. I just figured you were maybe raised that way, but
No.
Okay.
No, I was not raised in a religious household. My parents were very open if I wanted to go to church, but it wasn't really a part of my growing up. I got kind of hijacked when I was 18. I got invited to a youth group one night and heard the gospel at a Baptist church and went up front, got saved in front of everyone. And then like the next day, a really cute guy at school was like, I've been waiting for you to become a Christian. I'm in love with you. And cause you can't date, non-believers. So then I got like pulled into his Pentecostal church, which was really charismatic, like speaking in tongues, prophecy. And I didn't know that was just like a unique flavor. I just thought that's what it was. Went to college. That was very evangelical, got involved in Campus Crusade for Christ, started evangelizing to people. Then I got involved in the House of Prayer, which was a ministry. So I ended up, after the coffee shop, going full time into ministry for a couple of years at that place. And my job was to create an atmosphere in a room for anyone in the city to come in and experience nonstop prayer and worship. So I was a musician, and it was a very intuitive, like tuning into the energy of, like, back then I would have said the Holy Spirit and the people there, and a lot of improv singing and playing to really, just create that atmosphere for connection. So I did that for a while. Any questions there before I keep going?
You're a musician.
I am.
I get musician vibes. What do you play the guitar? Do you sing? Like, or do you write music?
I did everything, like a master generalist. Like I'm not like awesome at one thing, but I can pick up anything and play it. I haven't really played in a long time. That's part of my trauma. I went through conversion therapy, which if anyone doesn't know what that is listening, it's the pray the gay away experience. And so that was a pretty like traumatic experience and very pivotal in me kind of reinventing myself and starting the process of deconstructing my faith. But yeah, I didn't play music for a while. It was just kind of like I'm gonna set this part of me aside and heal and figure out who I am and what I want. And it's been, a process over the past several years of like reintegrating that back into my life. So I do plan on making a Jumpsuit psychedelic journey album in which I'll be playing something.
All right. I love it. I was going to say, is there music out there? I think, music is just, but I totally get it. So backing up, I guess, a little bit, at some point in time, while you are a pastor, this was 2 years of your life that you committed yourself to being a pastor. I don't know terminology for church stuff. I really don't. But that's what you would be a pastor.
A minister. Yeah, like a worship leader,
worship leader.
Yeah, I could marry you. I could do that.
Okay, noted. At some point you're like, I'm gay and I need to do something about that. So what was that experience like for you?
Mm-hmm. It was, for many years, it was a lot of suppression.
Yeah.
Especially when I became a Christian, because there are more open churches now than there were back then, but like there really wasn't a framework for like you can be a Christian and be gay. Like you kind of just have to pick one. And of course, I was going to pick God, right? So a lot of
I
my,
guess.
I guess, um, a lot of my pattern, like in my shadow, was like earnestly trying to find a guy that I'm like, he's cool, he's a lot of
Sure.
fun, maybe I could date him.
Mhm.
And then we date, and then I mean, I don't know if you know much about young Christian men, but they're like ready to marry you because they want to have sex. Yeah, so it would get like really intense really fast, and I would freak out, and I would break up with them, and then I would be very sad and lonely, and then I would find I don't know, myself in a female friendship, and that would end up getting sexual and crossing the line, but very like in secret.
Yeah.
And then I would feel very guilty, and then I would go through a process of like confessing and repenting is what we
Yeah.
called it.
Yeah.
And it was like I was just stuck in that for so long, and then eventually that's where like in order for me to keep my job, I was required to go through conversion therapy, and also, I mean, I chose to, right? Like at that point in time, I was pretty aware that like I couldn't change this about myself. Like I had sat in a prayer room for 2 years, right? Like I could not, stop that pattern. And so I was pretty willing to do an extreme, I don't know, thing to see if that would help. And spoiler alert, it didn't. I'm married to a woman who's amazing.
Yeah, well, I first of all very sorry that you just had to experience all of that. I've obviously heard of conversion therapy, and it just sounds fucking awful. Coming out of that experience, at what point were you finally like, I can't do this anymore? I'm done with the Christian church. Was it that quickly? I mean, obviously that took healing and that took time. So what did that look like?
It was a slow fade. I mean, it started with me leaving my job, but still going to church somewhere else. And then it ended up me just like not going to church one Sunday to rest. And then I kind of liked it. And so it was kind of like that. And to be honest, by that point, I was so disconnected from self, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I, yeah, like just a lot of self abandonment and discouragement. And I was tired and broken. It was low.
Yeah.
2011 was the worst year of my life. I also got like excommunicated, so I lost a lot of people in the
Sure,
process.
all your friends in a big social network, and so then you're finding yourself alone. And then were you like, I assume you wouldn't be like, fuck all this spiritual shit in any guise for like a long time after that. Was that your journey, or did you start to be like, maybe I'm gonna meditate, or like, you know what I mean?
I think I just dissociated. And by the way, they don't pay you like to do ministry. So
Right.
I had to like go raise my own money, and I was living off of $12,000 a year. So I was
Wait,
like,
isn't that so crazy? Because don't churches make just like a shit ton of money?
yeah, this ministry, you had to raise your own support. So, I mean, it was just a rock bottom season of my life, and I was dissociated, like,
Yeah.
obviously, And so I wasn't really thinking about, like, am I gay? Who would I date next? Like,
Right.
I guess I was probably like, I guess I'm gonna have to be celibate forever, but I knew that wasn't gonna be possible because of
Right.
the pattern. So I ended up just getting the coolest job on the planet at a startup in Cincinnati. It was the first explainer video company. Those animated, 60-second videos.
Yeah.
And so startups are fun. And I had never made a video in my life, but I was really good at it. So I just kind of threw myself into work, which kind of creates a whole other version of Nicole that we can explore.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I was just, all of that stuff was just kind of back here while I was trying to find myself again and my happiness and my creativity and tap into that. And then one day Ashley Brake got hired at the same company, and that is who I end up marrying.
Dun dun dun. So at this point, though, like you're still kind of like subscribed to the Christian religion to some extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like belief system.
Right,
Not
right, right.
not activity, but belief
Right.
system. Yeah.
Yep, yep. Got it. Okay. So you're at the startup, you meet Ashley. Where was the turning point, or was there like a breakthrough moment after that that was like, I have something really hard in front of me to face that I'm ready to face? Maybe there wasn't that moment. Like, was there a moment at that point?
I would say the first moment was like I remember exactly where we were when I realized I was developing feelings for her. And the trauma was so strong, I had to open up the car door and puke in the parking lot. I was just like, hold on a second. Bleh. Um,
That's hot.
and it was so like trauma in my body. I was
Right.
so terrified of having to go through that painful process all over again that I was just like, oh my God. And I don't know how much longer after that. I just remember being like, okay, that pattern is not working for me. What if I allowed myself to explore the possibility that I can still love God and a woman? Just what if? And that kind of became the permission slip that I needed to step into that authentic part of me.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, I began deconstructing my faith.
Yeah. And was
Yeah.
Ashley, where was Ashley's spiritual or any religious affiliation? Was there, where was she in all of that at that point?
Yeah, she also became a Christian around the same time and went into full-time ministry. So we had very similar backgrounds.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is so wild.
There's a lot of us, and I didn't know this back then, but the telltale sign is if you were like a chick who played guitar. Like I'd be like, oh, they're cool, but really they were lesbians.
Oh gosh, that's so
Yeah.
I actually, my ex, I was married to a woman prior to Zach, and she plays the guitar, and it's just like, I'm like, yeah, this is,
Yeah,
that's
checks out.
Yeah. So at what point in time did we like crack into spirituality again?
Yeah. There was probably about a 10-year period where it was like out of sight, out of mind. I knew I didn't want to ever go back to the church.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get pulled into any form of organized religion. Like that was a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And, I never became an atheist or anything like that. I just needed a minute.
Right.
I just had zero capacity to be open and explore because I needed to heal. I needed to figure out I needed to reclaim a lot of the things that I lost, quite frankly, in that environment, being gay, being a woman. And, I don't mean to like dog the church, but when you're told what to believe and how to be, and you have to question parts of your identity, there's a lot of untangling that, at least for me, that had to occur to even realize how I was self-abandoning, where I was lying to myself. Like being, I know you talked to Julianne about like somatic stuff recently, and it's like, I was so dissociated from my body. I didn't know how to tap into other intelligences to make any sort of decision. So a lot of my process was like, I just need space. And I found my sense of safety and identity in work, which is cool. I've been able to do cool things, but like any good founder, like I worked too hard.
Yeah.
And any neurodivergent founder, I got autoimmune diseases, and eventually my body was like, you need to slow down.
Sure.
And outside of those illnesses that started happening, and by the way, this is very common in the spiritual awakening process, autoimmune stuff, body stuff. So that started happening. I wasn't making the connection at all that it was like a spiritual awakening yet.
Yep.
I don't remember what year it was, maybe like 2021. I had hit a milestone financially that I just never thought was possible. I didn't grow up with money.
And this is just Jumpsuit on the back of Jumpsuit, right? Like job
Yeah.
boards hadn't started in 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, a little context there. I left the 9 to 5 in 2018, jumped into freelance so I could experience working for myself.
Yep.
And then I was, from there, able to scale an independent agency and offer people a lot of things that I wanted for myself, like their own agency, to be independent and work with other agencies or have their own clients and stuff. So, I mean, Jumpsuit's like another interesting story that we could explore. But I threw myself into it. It made me sick. I made myself sick. And I hit a financial milestone where I'd been waiting for a certain number in my head. I'm like, oh, okay, once I get that in my bank account, then I can like rest and feel okay in my body. And I actually couldn't. And that was one of the most terrifying experiences that I've ever had, which is like, I could have $10 million and I'm not going to feel okay in here.
Classic.
They talk about it.
They do, yeah.
They warn you.
And I'm sensing a pattern here. If this, like you said, 2011 was the worst year of your life. Here we are in 2021, and my body. So like, I worry about 2031. Just like,
we'll see.
Yeah.
I'll let you know. I'll come back on the podcast, let you know what's up.
Yeah, we'll be going strong.
Yeah, but so, you know, in addition to a bunch of like autoimmune stuff, I experienced anxiety and depression that I could not shake. And that was uncommon for me. I was just kind of stuck. And so I started researching, like, maybe it's time to try an SSRI. I don't know, like supplements, like what's out there for me. And I came across psilocybin microdosing as being really effective. And I had never taken a psychedelic. Remember, I was Christian. I had to sign a contract that I like would not drink, would not smoke, would not have sexual immorality. And I was like, there's still some of that purity stuff that had remained on me.
So you'd never experienced at this point taking drugs with your friends.
I mean, I smoked pot.
Sure.
I like pot.
Yeah.
I'll light a joint right now if you want me to.
I mean, feel free. You're welcome to. So that's something that you decided, okay, I'm going to give this a shot and see what happens.
Yeah, I did. There's something about it that felt more natural. The research was compelling, and also I was curious. So I got my hands on some psilocybin, started microdosing, and I'm going to say this. This might not be the case for someone listening, right? But for me, I felt regulated in about 2 weeks.
Wow.
Okay.
And at that point, I was very open to, okay, what's it like if I do more?
Wow.
Yeah.
So microdosing, I've learned more about it as of recently, thanks to Metamorphosis, somebody we met at telepathy camp. And I always thought microdosing was taking a small amount every single day, but that is actually not the case. It's, there's more of a structured schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So what did that look like for you?
Yeah, I think when I started, I did a thing called the Stamets stack. Paul Stamets, he's my hero. I think I was doing that, and but yeah, I mean, a few days on, few days off, and then he layers in other non-psychoactive mushrooms, lion's mane, and some other things, just to really like promote neurogenesis. And it was probably maybe 3 months of doing that before I took my first journey with them. And that first journey is when I would say, like, very obvious. Like, if I had to pick a moment when the spiritual awakening started, which I think it was always kind of happening, but if I had to, like, when was I born again? It was during that journey.
And was this like the classic, say 5 milligrams, I'm disembodied, I may feel like I have died, that type of experience?
I think we took 3.5 grams instead of 5, which was probably the right amount for my first time. Yeah.
Yeah,
It-
definitely.
and it was me and James. We did it together. That was James's first time as well. And if anyone is wondering who James is, he works with me at Jumpsuit. He was at Telepathy Camp filming. He just films everything. If you watch Gary Vee and D-Rock,
Yeah,
James is kind of my D-Rock. Mm-hmm.
So with Jumpsuit, I do want to get into that. And one of the things, and you said it right at the start of this conversation, was like for an entrepreneur and entrepreneurs that it's a spiritual path. And certainly like I'm feeling that with this podcast. And I totally understand what you mean, but like what does that mean in your words? And is that something that you sort of discovered about Jumpsuit and yourself after it got going? And it's like, oh wow, this is kind of, as you became a spiritual person, this has been spiritual journey for me this whole time, because I know then this is leading to you sponsoring the telepathy tapes, and now there's a bunch of lay people that are spiritual in this orbit, which started as brand people and brand freelance people. So talk to us about that.
I think there's a couple different paths I could take. Let me feel into it. Okay, so founders are up to 500% more likely to be neurodivergent, which I identify as being neurodivergent. Curious if you guys do, or if you've begun exploring that yet.
It's not something that I have explored. I know that Zach has expressed that at times in the past.
Yeah, I had never felt like I fit. And I was always very critical of structures, like from a very young age. And I've seen those like Venn diagram overlaps. Are you like autistic? Are you like ADHD? Or are you gifted? And I've been trying to like place it. And I know I don't have ADHD because, I take Adderall and like, it's like taking meth. It doesn't chill me out. Fortunately, I don't do that anymore, listeners. Probably a better podcast if I did. But maybe autism, but it's like, I don't know. At the end of the day, I think probably not, but it's something that I've looked under the hood of.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, and there's other kinds like being OCD or having dyslexia or even left-handedness is a sign of neurodivergence. So there's different flavors of it.
Yeah.
And before that even came into my awareness, I think what I would have said about myself is that I was just really intuitive. I was a creative director for many years. So like creativity, liminal space, accessing tons of ideas and pulling one down and like anchoring it into reality was like not just my job, but like my being. Like that is what I have always done and what I am doing now and will always do. My sister started getting a lot of health issues before I did, and she's younger than me. And so she went on this big journey of discovering herself. She's an Enneagram 4, so very self-oriented. And
Me too.
Yeah, tell me about me.
Yeah.
And so she got there faster. And so she was, I remember her telling us that she has autism. And this came after like so many other things. Like I have EDS and POTS and mast cell. And admittedly, I was like, oh no, my sister's a hypochondriac. And so the moment she said she was autistic, I kind of like internal eye roll.
Yeah.
And by the way, she is so right. But she started being like, and mom's autistic, and so it makes so much sense, and you're autistic. And back then I was like, you can't go around calling people autistic. Like, what are you doing? Like, boundary, hard stop, and kind of like, fuck you. I was so mad about it. And then I was on one of my early mushroom journeys. It wasn't the first one, but it was maybe like the second or third, and James was here. And you guys have done psilocybin?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah. So the ego starts to dissolve and you become a little more open. And so that was happening to me, and I was like, huh, maybe I'll call my sister while I'm in this state of mind and just like see what she has to say.
Yeah.
So I did, and we talked for hours.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, tell me everything. Tell me everything you see about me, about mom. And I just listened. And again, like the power of psilocybin, right? Like I had so much ego, like protecting myself that I was like couldn't hear it, and I was like accusing her.
Right.
And so, oh man, it just honestly it rewrote my whole narrative, made so many things in my past make sense, helped me understand how my brain and my gifts operate. And one of the things, I mean, she had a lot of things to point out about me, but one of the things she said was like, sis, you've never had a banana. Because there's a lot of sensory issues as with autism in particular, like inclination towards bland food, chicken nuggets, toast, noodles, right? And so she's like, you've never like had a banana. And I'm like, that's really weird, isn't it? And she's like, yeah. And so I get up, I'm like, I'm going to eat a banana right now. And I go to the kitchen and I peel one and I eat the whole thing, which is another example of the power of psilocybin to actually like rewire your neural pathway and do something that would have historically been like,
Right.
a no.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. I'm imagining everyone else is like, you're gone for a couple of hours. Everybody's now sober, and you run out and just like eat a banana and like, oh, hi, welcome back. And then you're just so happy that you're eating this banana for the first time. How was it?
Look at me. It's like, no, but I was proud of myself that I could do it. It's one of those things, right? Like with the autism, it's like I can do really big things, and yet I can't like eat a banana. So there's like I can get in the weeds of this, but there's like a stuckness with autism, and I'm very high functioning. Obviously, I don't need like support like a lot of people do.
I wouldn't have. I also had inclination to bland food as a kid. Not now because I'm a fucking master chef. But but yeah, you're just making me wonder about me.
I'm really glad that you brought this up. It was something that I wanted to talk about, and I am curious the way that you explained. I mean, it's a spectrum, right?
Yeah.
And when your sister called you out like this, it was like, no, this is the furthest thing from my mind. No, like this, no. So, are there more people than we even realize that are living with neurodivergence, and where might they go? Or if somebody listening and might have a suspicion, or maybe they're just like, I don't know, I'm curious, how did you end up confirming, okay, yeah, this is me?
Yeah. Well, for one, I think Gen Z is all over this. Like,
Yeah.
they don't need our help.
Yeah.
It's like more our generation. and
Sure.
up. I think people are like, I don't know. It feels like it's becoming more common. I'm like, your dad like collected trains, like that's it. Anyway. I would say for someone who's relatively high functioning, who might be missing it, one of the telltale signs is like sensitivities to, could be texture, like tags, certain clothes, sounds, smells, sensory, like sensitivities. So much so that you like Zach, go walk through an airport and do a test. What do you feel like in your body when you're just normal, and what do you feel like when you have AirPods in?
Zach hates airports, first of all.
Yeah. I'm having a
That's
bad time at an
one
airport.
of his first anxieties of life is like being at an airport. So
Yeah.
So like, when I first got these, I'm pointing to my AirPods, and I learned that they had the like function where I could just tune everything out. I walked through an airport after getting off the plane, and I wasn't even listening to music. I was just listening to like nothing. And my nervous system was like, oh, and I'm taking my time. I'm present. I'm actually like making eye contact with people and smiling. And I'm like, this is a different version of myself. And I'm not an asshole. It was just like always like too much stimulation. So there's, signals like that with autism. But I mean, you talked about that Venn diagram. Like I am in the middle, ADHD. Yeah.
Yep.
And I, I have a very similar way of working, like a similar brain. This is going to sound egocentric. Maybe I don't mean it this way, but like Elon Musk and like Mr. Beast, like I see their ability to go like really big. Like Mr. Beast is like so world building. I can do anything. Here's all these ideas, and I've got all these businesses. It's huge.
Yeah,
He's
these
huge.
days he's got 5 people like locked in ships or in basements at any given time, filming them to win
Yes.
prize money. It's gotten
Yeah,
that
we'll come back to that shadow.
big.
But also like this unique ability to get super granular, hyper fixated on like the right YouTube thumbnail. Like he, right? Like, you know, the story, he mastered that. And Elon's similar, right? He's like taken us to, you know, outer space and he can get really nitpicky on the details. So I identify with having a brain that works that way. I'm very big in both and very fluid with it. I mean, I can just quickly jump from one to another versus like as a creative director, I always had a lot of creatives around me who were just ADHD and they had a really hard time like landing the plane and picking something and executing it, or just like autistic person, getting them out of their rhythm and routine and opening them up to like new possibilities. Like I just kind of naturally flow between both.
Yeah, that's resonating. I feel like I'm learning a lot, like just unexpectedly about neurodivergence. I wanted to cut neurodivergence.
He
from
wanted to cut this part out of the interview, and I was like, no, I want to ask this question. So I'm glad that we're here. So I'm curious as it relates to Jumpsuit, and I guess any of your projects, how has the identification as neurodivergent like help with or aid in, I guess, what came after?
Yeah, and I don't know that the like, aha, this is what it's called label aided in much, right? Because I mean, it was years before that even came online to me that I was working that way and experiencing a ton of success. I was in the business world, we call them unicorns. I'm looking for a unicorn, someone who can do all these things and all these things. And cultures like pay people well, you know, but like those people tend to be also called generalists, and generalists are often neurodivergent
Sure.
people. And so, I mean, you guys come from the agency world. You know that most of the sentiment out there is like, build a specialist agency, go really deep into one lane and do it really well. And a lot of people do that and they have a lot of success. I couldn't do that because I was like, I want a creative agency because creative is everywhere. It's in brand. It should be in strategy. It should be in innovation and product design and storytelling and video. And so I just naturally started finding other people that felt like me. They would have different personality types and stuff, but like that ability to be big and detailed. Didn't have the language. The language didn't really matter down the line because we had just found each other. And we built a network where we could pull in a specialist as needed, but we didn't like staff our teams with specialists until we needed them in a particular moment. I think that's kind of what brought a lot of the magic to Jumpsuit, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. So when did Jumpsuit have this spiritual twist to it? Because Jumpsuit is an agency and there's a lot of agencies out there. And that's the way Jumpsuit started, if we're all being honest, you know, like it was an agency, but like Jumpsuit has become so much more than that. So where did that evolution begin?
Yeah, Jumpsuit was an agency and is an agency, but like Zach, you know, any good brand actually stands for something bigger than like the thing that it sells, the product or service. So for a long time, Jumpsuit was kind of a permission slip for you to exit the 9 to 5 and become an entrepreneur, solopreneur, freelancer, whatever you want to call it, 1099. Like take that jump and have somewhere to land. And also like we wouldn't know anyone. You could work with other people. So there were a lot of principles early on that I was very passionate about, which was like this can be a place where you can have more agency, no pun intended, self-sovereignty, choice. You get to decide what you work on. You get to decide how much money you make. Come be your authentic self here, unless you are toxic and an asshole, in which case, like, you don't get to work here. And so, like, even early on, the idea of jumpsuit was very expansive. And like, now this is very common, but we were doing this before the pandemic. We were fully remote. Like, this was kind of new-ish. And so that is what it felt like for a while. It was really liberating. And we all just expanded, like, entrepreneurship expands you.
Sure. How big can it get? Like, how many brand strategists do you have working there? How many creative directors do you have? How many, like, right? Because
it's designed to do this. I've always said jumpsuit's a living, breathing organism, and it will change based upon who is there. And so at first, like, let's say, we started with a handful of clients. Well, they had very specific services. So we had a team that was maybe like this big. And then as we grew, we'd pull in more people, but it feels a lot like breath. And I liked that. Like, there was nothing that would break the structure. That made me feel safe as a founder, quite frankly, because I knew in seasons, if we would be slow, I could jump back in. I could be the producer. I could be the creative director. I could get paid with billable client hours. I could cut the paychecks. I could do all of the things, and I would still be fine. Like, I needed that. My nervous system needed that to feel safe. And then over time, as it grew, I got to be more selective and whatever, and when I started John Boards a couple years ago, I really got to test out the experiment, which was, can this thing with 0 employees run itself? And it did. I mean, I think I gave it like 2 hours a week. And so I'm very proud of that. And so I just allow it to do this. I had never run a paid ad until I did, because I didn't want to like make it grow, because it could, and get all these like misaligned clients, or, have to pull in people really quickly and kind of ruin the culture that felt so special. I just kind of allowed it to exist. And another thing that I discovered is, like, if we get a really good, like, I think of Fletcher when he joined the team, he's like the most amazing UX, UI software app guy. Yeah. And then it's like, great, we do that now, because he's built brain surgery software, and he built dev.twitter.com, dev.twitch.com, turned Fiserv's data into like $250 million a year revenue stream, like talent that I trust in the trenches. So then Jumpsuit does that now, and then we pull in the people that Fletcher loves to work with, and that's how we grew organically. So I don't know how to answer your question, like how many brand strategists. We have them, and I built a core team around me of different discipline leaders. So just kind of let them do their thing.
Cool.
Decentralized power, and empowered them to work with whoever they wanted to work with, and it just worked.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So you opened the doors to the world, essentially, with the sponsorship of telepathy tapes. What the hell were you doing?
Yeah. So you guys have heard me talk about Frank the Psychic.
Yes.
Okay. He's a psychic here in Nashville. I meet with him once a year. He's got like a 15-month wait list. It's crazy.
I need to get my name added to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll forget, and then a couple years later, it's like, here's your appointment.
And then I needed it.
Right on time.
Right.
At the end of 2023, going into 2024, he was looking at the year ahead, and he says, next year, there will be some sort of like celebrity that gets attached to your brand, and it's really going to like open up things for you, and mention like a documentary and like retreats and all this stuff. And I was listening to that, I think it was early November 2024. It like popped up, and I was like, oh, what did he say last year? And I was like, oh, that's funny. I did not get introduced to a celebrity, which is fine. I wasn't, needing it or wanting it. And then a couple weeks later, someone on the internet was like, Nicole, I think you'd be really into the telepathy tapes. Have you ever heard of it? And I said no. And it was right before it like really popped off around Christmas. And I binged the whole thing. And I mean, you guys listen to it. It's incredible. Like I knew in my being that this was one of the most important projects on the planet. And it was just a podcast I listened to. I listen to podcasts all the time. 2 days later, I'm on LinkedIn and I get a message from a guy who's like, hey, Nicole, I'm an independent podcast ad buyer. And I'm representing an independent podcast called The Telepathy Tapes. And you're an independent agency. Something tells me we should talk. And I'm like, hell yeah, we should talk. So I get on a call.
So crazy. I just got goosies.
Yeah, there we go. We got the Michelle goosebumps on the episode. Achieved.
Yeah. Here's where the synchronicities start happening.
Yep.
And so I get on a call with him, and honestly, like, I think his goal was to see what kind of like big brands we worked with, to see if one of them might want to be a sponsor, because agencies don't sponsor podcasts. They're like the middleman in a lot of ways, if they even get involved in that world. So, I just was like, I want to do it. And he kind of like laughed. I was like, no, I think I want to do it.
Right.
And so, and then it just all kind of unfolds. And in the conversation of like what everything would look like, I had shared that, okay, here's what's happening right now. I am now going back to what am I legally allowed to say, because talent agency got involved and I signed a contract. So I'm actually probably going to like pull myself back from the details.
Fair. No worries.
But it happened. And all of a sudden, I'm needing to write scripts, and I had the opportunity to launch 5 ads. And I knew that I didn't want to sell like the old services.
Right.
You need a branding agent. Like, that just felt disconnected from telepathy.
Totally.
And
you need a branding agency. You need a branding agency that reads your mind. Jumpsuit.
Yeah, like, how corny. Oh my God. Like, mortifying. And I'm like, I'm in the AI space. I had an AI tech company. I know that the things we're doing right now as an agency will not be the things that we do a few years from now.
Right.
So I saw this as an opportunity to just like plant some seeds and run some experiments and see what wanted to happen. And so I don't even remember what all the ads were, but I was like, where are the shamans? Come. And where are the people who are like living this hybrid life where you're like an employee doing a normal job, but also you're like a medium on the side, or like read tarot? Where are you at? And so just planted all these seeds, and then thousands of people around the globe are here, and you are some of them.
It is so wild, honestly, as you're talking about. It transports me back to the time listening to the ad, because it was so significant to us. And I have to imagine that it felt similarly to other people, because it was something that nobody's ever heard before. One, in an ad, but like just in general too, is proof that there are so many people out there that are living this life of, this is my 9 to 5, but also I'm very interested in reading tarot or whatever, or telepathy. And that moment for us in the car when we were in Florida, and at that point we had started talking about disco in the many different forms in which the disco had been, and is now the podcast, and hopefully much more at some point. But we heard it, and we were just like, wait, stop.
What was that?
Rewind it. And we had to stop it in the car and rewind it. And I wrote it down. And I think I spent the next week just like,
well, first trying to figure out what the fuck Jumpsuit was, because it didn't make it like.
We were a little bit confused at first. I'm not gonna
It was like, Michelle's like, I think it's an agency. Like, it seems like maybe like concept bureau where you work, but like it's also all this other stuff. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, fair. Well, and that's the crazy part too, is I've had a lot of stories where people are like, hold on, pull over the car. What is this ad?
Yeah.
Which is like, That's a fun feeling.
Totally.
And it brought a lot of, what I love about it is it brought a lot of resonant, like-minded people into my universe, because I was going through a spiritual awakening, and I am a founder of a company, and I believe that the things that we create, like a business entity, is to some degree its own entity, and it is certainly a mirror of me. And if I allow it to be that integrated, and so as I was evolving and opening up and becoming more authentic with what was happening to me, um, I think naturally started weaving that into the company. And so that has led me on a journey of like, I mean, when I talk about brand, what does it look like to build a multi-dimensional brand when most brands are very fixed and static, and this is what we are and we say it this way every single time to reinforce the message? It's like I started playing with it. I'm like, okay, what is first of all, what are the dimensions? That was a fun rabbit hole to go down. And then what's it feel like to allow Jumpsuit to remain this like 3D, it's just a creative agency who can build your website or whatever.
Yep.
Allow it to be true to people who are on that frequency and need that thing.
Right.
And then also explore what it feels like in the 5D or 8D and like have an experience of it like that. And so that's what I've been playing around with, and it's been really fun.
To say the least. To say the least. What I think is actually funny, and I didn't realize that prior to this person reaching out to you on LinkedIn, you didn't even know what you were going to advertise about. So this person, like, you're going to go on to like change the world and like do all these things, and like this guy needs a pat on the back.
Frank?
Yeah.
What did he tell you this year?
No, not Frank the
Oh.
psychic.
No,
I mean him too, but like the
Charles.
sales guy.
Oh, Charles and Frank.
Charles.
Right. Yeah. Cheers
No,
to Charles.
Seriously, but right, like he led with intuition. He didn't really know
Yeah.
why he was reaching out either.
I know, so crazy.
Yeah, it needed to happen. Wanted to happen.
Wanted to
So,
happen.
what have been some of the most surprising, amazing experiences or connections to come of this ad that you put on the telepathy tapes?
Yeah, it's been half a year, basically.
Yeah. Well, for sure, the people. I mean, I was just at MasterChef's house eating dinner. Like, that's fun. I mean, I've met so many amazing, amazing people, and you've met some of them too. It's like, you know what I think happened is as I allowed or invited Jumpsuit to become a business that is unapologetically awakening in public versus like building in public, like awakening in public. That has taken Jumpsuit from this like very literal level of independent together, like you're an independent business and so am I, and we will sometimes collaborate on a project,
Yep.
to this like higher level organizational, you're like a big company and you're a big nonprofit and you're doing this cool thing, especially in the like consciousness and psychedelic space, like emergent space. I've met so many people who are doing big, interesting things. And now the question is like, how can we be independent together at this layer?
Yep.
And a lot of my journeying, so I still do psychedelics. I do them in therapy. I do them ceremonially. And I also do them to often get downloads for what it is that we're building. And a lot of it has to pertain to this feeling of needing another system that is very different than the one that a lot of us are kind of watching deconstruct and fall apart before our very eyes. And I think a lot of people are coming online to like, I don't know if we can fix that. Like whether it's like government or education or the fact that like billionaires have all the money and power, like it kind of feels a little futile at this point. And so that invites the question, well, what do we want to build? What's possible? And so that's the layer that I've been playing in with a lot of the people who have come in through the ads. I think of people like Larissa, Pam, Joseph. I know these are just names to you guys, you listeners, but these are like awesome human beings. And that's, I mean, I was just in Minnesota near you guys, in a room with a lot of them. And the goal wasn't to figure any of this stuff out or build anything, but it just like is happening.
Right.
And in September, there's going to be a group of us that get together with a corporate shaman and go on an intentional journey to figure out what is wanting to be anchored in. And that's cool work.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah, I know decentralization is what, you're loosely calling this next era that we're going to be entering. It sounds like this was sort of like an emergent organic thing that just like came online for you, and then you started to get really passionate about it and care about it, because you weren't like, I know you'd have been living in the world like the rest of us and going, it's broken and I don't think we can fix it. There's a meaning crisis. Everybody's floundering around, like, there's a lot of nihilism. There's a lot of like existential despair, right? But how did you get so personally attached to this?
I think I started experimenting with it in small doses within Jumpsuit. Like I would watch the team self-organize, once they had permission, they would just like form things and make it happen on a smaller scale. I would do Jumpsuit's not fully decentralized. Like it's still an LLC and I'm the LLC. So there is a centralized component to it. But I'm constantly practicing. Where is there stuck energy? Where am I having too much power that I need to like allow the decentralization of power to like happen? So it's like, in some ways, it's a very embodied practice that I'm doing as a business owner that has really impacted the business. And then, I look at like the age of Aquarius and the cross of Sleeping Phoenix, which is a human design idea. And there's a lot of information there if you're open to looking at them and believing them. And it's very resonant.
That was the teaser to come back for part 2. And we like to have a little fun and a little silliness. So we are going to play a quick game of Fuck, Marry, Kill. Spiritual edition, and AI helped us generate these solutions. They'll be quick. Okay. I'm going to ask you 3. You're going to give you 3 fuck, marry, kills, and you're going to tell us. And I really want your reasoning. That's important.
Oh, okay.
Yes. All right. So, fuck, marry, kill: sage bundles, sound baths, and vision boards.
Ooh. I would definitely kill the sage. I am a Palo Santo girl. Sage, I don't know. It's one of my sensory issues.
Sure.
Probably because I have demons. Just kidding. I just don't like the smell. Okay, so we'll get. Oh, did I say fuck? No, I said kill. Yeah, kill that. Fuck. Okay. Okay. I would fuck a vision board like over and over again. And I would marry the sound bath because it's just like so good for the nervous system. Like there's so much that happens with frequency.
I agree. I just feel like my same answer.
I feel like the energies just kind of warrant those answers, to be honest.
Yep. Agreed. All right. Fuck, marry, kill: human design, astrology, and the Enneagram. Not easy.
I would probably marry the Enneagram because I just love that system so much. I feel like I know it the most. It's reliable. It's really helped me see who I am.
Your podcast on it where you went through all the 8 types or the 9 types? Yeah, that was good.
That was one of the ways that I like processed the dimensions. I was like, okay, I'm learning the dimensions. There are like 9 main, there's a lot of dimensions, but there's like 9 main ones, and there's like 9 main Enneagram types. I wonder if they coalesce, and they totally do. So anyway, yeah, I'd marry that one. I would fuck astrology.
Right choice,
Even though I know more about human design than astrology, I just feel like that is just like the ancient one. You know what I mean? Like
we love like fucking the ancient ones.
It's like, it's just like always been there. Human design, I think is like a trend that like comes and goes. I don't think it's a forever thing, so we can just get rid of it.
We have that episode coming up soon.
Tune
I
in.
know.
It's going to be a good one.
That's gonna piss a lot of people off because they're obsessed with it.
That's good. There's a hot takes. All right. Last one. Fuck, marry, kill your higher self, your shadow self, and your inner child.
This is a hard one. I'm gonna fuck my shadow for sure.
Yeah.
That's like how the work gets done, and I'm gonna marry my child because there's so much like tenderness there. And my higher self is just we're kind of like at war right now. You know, it's like I love you, but I'm like, I'm in this human body. I get the choice, and you're trying to, you know, I'm like working that out right now.
Love it.
Like it. That's a good.
There's still much to integrate for me in that area.
Yeah, I put that down this morning, and I'm like, this is unanswerable, this one. Like, good luck with that one. You did great.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. Those were really good answers and good reasoning.
Yeah, thanks.
So do we need like some kind of like goodbye transition? This is our first 2-part episode, so.
No, whatever.
Okay, you'll figure it out
We'll
in
figure it
post.
out. Yeah, I don't know.
Bye.
Bye.